So, what do people do when they pray? They say, "Dear God, please make this happen. Dear God, please protect me from that. Or please allow this person to overcome that. Or please help me heal fast. Or please take this pain away from me. Or please, God, do this. Please, God, do that." Which is a wrong form of prayer. And I believe that the Christian church has totally forgotten what prayer is even about. First of all, what is prayer? Or what is prayer supposed to be? What the goal of prayer should be is communion or communication between you and God, you and the divine. And you can even, personify this as God the Father speaking to his child. Hence, the communication aspect makes more sense. But that's the goal of prayer, is to connect to that which is divine, or to God. And what I just mentioned in the beginning is the wrong form of prayer. Because what does that kind of prayer do? It asks God to align the universe with your will. In other words, you want the world to bend to your will, and you're asking God to make the world bend to your will, which is the exact opposite of what you should be doing. Your will should die to God's will, right? As the Bible says, we must decrease so He can increase. So let's assume a scenario. Let's say you receive cancer, and then you sit there in the hospital bed, and you say, "Dear God, please heal me from cancer." And then you get healed from cancer, and then you start believing in God. This is a very deceptive thing, because what would have happened if God didn't heal you from the cancer? Would you have not believed in God then? And so, was your belief in God always actually just something you have because you're privileged, right? Meaning, if you would face more suffering, your belief in God would vanish. So it's not really that deep as you think it is. It's just you're almost it's almost like you're speaking from a point of privilege. And so this is why this type of prayer is very destructive as well. Because then you have people and they'll pray, please God, do this, and then God never answered. At least that's what they think. And then they don't believe in God because they've been lied to about what prayer really does. Prayer is not about please God, do this. Prayer should be please God, allow me to be okay with whatever happens. Meaning, when you sit there in the hospital bed and you just receive cancer diagnosis, you don't pray for God to make it go away. God already knows you want it to go away. But pray to accept and keep your faith in Him and to keep your strength. Because this is what submission to God means. This is what to decrease your will and your ego means. It is to set your own views aside and be like, you know what? You got it. Maybe this happened for a reason. I can't see right now why. I don't understand it, but I trust you. This won't break my faith. This won't break my belief in you. And that you help me accept it and find the good in where I'm at, rather than asking God to bend to your will. And then even make the fact that you believe in God dependent upon Him bending to your will. Isn't this like almost what Jesus was talking about when he said, "Do not tempt your God"? Isn't this deeply wrong? Because this the same notion of I started praying for something and then it happened and then that's why I started believing in God. That same person could just say, "Well, I prayed and then it didn't happen and then so I won't believe in God." So your belief in God is dependent upon if the goods or what you perceive to be the good stuff happened or not. Which is a wrong way to get to God, in my opinion, or it's talking from a point of privilege. If your externality or your external circumstance dictate whether you believe in a God, it is nothing else but a rational deduction or a result of your circumstances rather than an inner finding or alignment. And then you might say, well, but since God is love and He's like a father and we are like His children, we can reason with God. And that's why we can pray. That's why we can cry out to God, because we can reason with Him and He can come on our sides temporarily, for example, and alleviate some pressures or struggles or whatever. Basically the argument is, well, because we're His children, we can wrestle with Him, or we can reason with God. But then you have to ask yourself, okay, so if God is all loving and you ask for pain to be alleviated from you or struggles to be alleviated from you, if God then, and first of all, we assume that God is loving, and we assume that the struggle and the pains you face are there for a reason and they're justified and they're not just accidents or meaningless. If God then alleviates your pain and your struggle, is that a sign of his love or of his corruption? What does a parent do when the child begs, please let me have the candy? Please, I want to do this because it feels good. What does the parent do that loves its child? And what does the parent do that doesn't care about the child as much and just wants to avoid the confrontations or avoid the crying? Because if you believe in God, then you have to accept that whatever happens is just, and that also whatever happens, it was meant to happen, that it can be used for goodness, and that you were supposed to go through it. And and then when you start to quote unquote pray to be delivered from the pain, you're not you're not becoming better. You're just becoming weaker. Because when you ask God to build you up, He won't take away the struggles. He'll give you more so that you can then become stronger because He cares about you in the long term. Right? When you pray, please let this pain go away immediately. It's almost like you're praying to the devil, because if it were to go away, it would be the devil that answers you. Because he'd be like, okay, I'll make you feel good right now. But then the muscle won't grow. Like, I can't help but think that the way people pray is just blatantly wrong. Prayer, what you finished prayer when you sit there in deep acceptance, deep surrender to whatever is gonna happen. Doesn't matter if I get cancer. It doesn't matter if I don't get cancer. It doesn't matter if I die tomorrow, if I die today. It doesn't matter if I'm ugly, if I'm short, if I'm attractive or tall or rich or poor. I have something that goes deeper than that. And so it doesn't matter what happens. I accept it either way because I believe in you and I have faith in you. But the moment that your faith is dependent on external circumstances, you're talking from a point of privilege and your faith is standing on nothing. It's like building a house on sand. So introspect with how you pray. Don't pray to God. Let God pray to you in a sense. Don't tell God what you want. Humble yourself so God can tell you how you should be.